ordered and govern in marvelous ways. Look with favor, we pray, on our elected leaders, and mercifully pour out upon them the spirit of your wisdom, that they may decide everything for the well-being and peace of all the residents of South Bend, and ever enjoy the blessing of your counsel. Amen.
Amen. I would like to offer a prayer for the number of students that have had guns pointed at their heads in the past couple of weeks. The student I helped treat who came within an inch of his life, to the two mothers whose eyes were bloodshot Saturday and Sunday as we discussed the situation, for the extended family of the students, which is all of us here in South Bend, for the assailants so their hearts can be filled with love instead of harm, for the trauma medical staff, the doctors, nurses, the aides, the cleaning people that saved the student and the assailant's life, for the psychiatrists, the psychologists, the social workers who will deal with the years of PTSD, for the policemen and the policewomen of South Bend who are undervalued and overworked, for the South Bend government under the leadership of our mayor and Notre Dame to do the right thing. And as their TV motto says, what will you fight for? To provide safety for every individual so that we can all reach our potential happiness. And this we pray our Lord.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. This time we would like to ask South Bend City Clerk John Woody to please take the roll.
Mr. Scott.
Present.
Mr. Henry Davis Jr.
Ready to settle, Mr. Board.
Missy Shea.
Here.
Dr. Burke. Dr. Vaughn.
Aye. Here.
Vice President Keating.
Present, Mr. Board.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Present.
And President Oliver Davis.
I'm present.
9 present.
Thank you. Now could you please, Clerk Vorty, give us the report from the subcommittee on minutes?
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the September 22nd, 2014 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved. Signed, Oliver Davis, David Byrne.
What is your pleasure?
Motion to accept.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same sign. It is carried. At this time, I'd like to announce that we have Troop 572 from the Boy Scouts. So they please stand. All of our Boy Scouts with Robert Blackmore, the troop leader. Let's give them all a big hand. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you for coming. I'd like to see you at other council meetings, and maybe one day you could be up here too. All right. Now, under our special business, we ask for our clerk to please read Resolution 1488. Before we do that, representing the city, we have, again, we'd like to welcome back our mayor, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, here tonight. Let's give him a big hand for being back here tonight. So we thank you for your service, and glad to have you back home. Now, move forward with our resolution of 1488.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, publicly honoring and thanking Mark Neal for his exceptional public service to our city and the citizens of South Bend as city controller and deputy mayor.
We would like to ask our deputy mayor, still call you after for this presentation, Mark Neal, to please come forth. I'd like to also invite the mayor to come forth tonight as we read this resolution. Welcome. Thank you. Resolution 4390-14. A
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, publicly honoring and thanking Mark Neal for exceptional public service to our city and the citizens of South Bend as City Controller and Deputy Mayor. Whereas the South Bend Common Council notes that since February 28, 2014, Mark Neal has been putting in countless long and sometimes tedious hours as the Deputy Mayor of the City of South Bend, while Mayor Pete Buttigieg was on active duty in Afghanistan. And whereas the Common Council further recognizes that Mark Neal also served with distinction as South Bend's controller from January 2012 to January 2014, bringing with him the financial skills and leadership qualities he was so well known for at KRS Financial and at Prescott Associates Incorporated. And he quickly earned the respect and confidence of the Common Council, city staff, and the citizens of our great city. And whereas Mark grew up in Milwaukee, graduated from the University of Notre Dame in 1983, and then earned an advanced degree from George Washington University in Washington, D.C., which helped him develop the insights and skills to have good inside and outside games, and making sure that there's always a vision. And whereas Mark brought worldwide experience to South Bend, having held a directorship of finance and administration with the Bulgarian American Enterprise Fund in Sofia, Bulgaria, after working as the manager of financial services and budget policy for the overseas private investment corporations, which all contributed to his abilities to throw out the first pitch on April 8th, 2014, to starting the Sunburst on May 31, 2014, to dedicating a special Divas Day street sign on April 20, 2014, to announcing the South Bend to Newark Air Service being just some of countless events showcasing South Bend. Now therefore be resolved by the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana as follows. Section 1. The Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana publicly honors and thanks Mark Neal for the countless duties he so eloquently performed as City Controller and Deputy Mayor, but most importantly for always being such a great guy who was always so gracious, kind, and caring to everyone around him. Section 2. The City of South Bend is truly a better place because of the tireless commitment Mark Neal has made to our city, and because of his keen leadership, South Bend continues to move forward with a positive vision. Section 3. The Common Council sincerely wishes Mark, his wife Kathleen, and their 3 children all the best in his years ahead, and sincerely hopes that they will continue to contribute their time, energy, and many talents as active residents of the City of South Bend, Indiana. Section 4. This resolution shall be in full force and effective from and after its adoption by the Council and approval by the Mayor. And as the President of the Council, I'd just like to say it's been a joy to work with Mark from his time as the Controller, especially this year, all the times we have talked. He called me back when we called back and forth on our cell phones and text each other and worked together all throughout this whole year, doing all of our ups and challenges and everything else that we've had throughout this year. Mark has been a steady rock that has helped the city to grow, and I'm glad that he's been here for us, and I wish him the best in the future, and I'm glad that he's still staying around here in South Bend. So at this time, I'd like to ask Mayor Pete to come and share a few words.
Thank you, and I thank the council for taking the initiative to thank Deputy Mayor Mark. He's somebody that is an example of how I feel when I say that we sometimes are punching above our weight in recruiting the quality of folks that we try to get to come serve the public are really a dream team, and he's been an example of that from his time as controller through to his time as deputy mayor. Not somebody who ever sought out attention or power, was looking forward, I think, to a lot of work in the private sector when I had to pull him aside and say, Mark, not only does the Navy need me, but the city needs you. And he rose to that challenge at considerable personal sacrifice, but it was a great relief to me day in, day out during my tour abroad to know that the city was in such good hands with the administration team led by somebody of the caliber of Mark Neal. So, Mark, we're not going to allow you to move on completely. We know you're going into the private sector, but very eager to keep you involved in the life of the city in many ways, and cannot thank you enough for your service. And thanks again to the council for recognizing that.
Mark would like to share a few words, and then we hear from the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Albert. Just say it's been an honor to serve the residents of South Bend. It's been an honor to serve this administration, to work with all of you, to see the progress that's going on in the city. I've said to everyone, it's truly an exciting time here in South Bend, and it's great to be part of it, and to continue to see all that's before us, because I know brighter days will continue, and the best is yet to come. I know for this city, and for its residents, and for all folks, there's a lot to be done. There are a lot of challenges. There's no question about it, huge challenges, but there are a lot of good things going on, and I look for us to continue building on those. I'm glad to be part of it and help in any way I can. So thank you all very, very much.
Wonderful. Starting with Councilman Tim Scott, and we'll work our way to Councilwoman Karen White.
Mark, I truly enjoyed working with you, and look forward to many more chats in the future outside the political realm. You did it for service, and I appreciate the service that you gave to the city, and taking time out of your schedule and serving us. I truly appreciate all the numbers and talking everything that we've talked about in all the conversations. So it was truly a joy to work with you. Thank you so much.
Mark, it was fun. I hope you had fun. I did. Enjoyed your service. I did read it before, so I wasn't going and don't know what it was talked about. I read it early before I signed it, but I think you were a very valuable asset around here. I enjoyed your conversation. I enjoyed your ability to answer questions. And if you didn't have the answer, you will definitely find out. It was just a really good approach to government at the time. It was a breath of fresh air. And thank you for your time. And I hope your family enjoys you more, because I'm sure that you were gone quite a bit.
Mark, I think we all really admire your talents and your compassion and your patience and your commitment to public service. And it has been a pleasure to work with you. Thank you so much.
Mark, you're the epitome of a tireless civil servant. Few people possess your humility and equanimity. Lastly, I admire your boundless optimism. I've often said about Mark, if you came into the emergency room with a temperature of 105, he would say, "This is an opportunity." So I hope our current mayor will no longer use that term opportunity, because I got very tired of it. Thank you very much.
Doesn't give an opportunity for you now.
Mark, the mayor mentioned the fact that there are some good things going on. You were a large part of that. I concur. I think there are a lot of good things. I can't tell you how important I thought it was that there was someone willing to step up and take the leadership when the mayor had to leave. You did that. You did a fine job. You've been a fine representative. I enjoyed working with you. I wish you all the best in the future. And don't make yourself a stranger, because we enjoyed having you around.
Thank you, Mr. Neal, for all the times we met. I dressed appropriately for you tonight. Like everybody already said, the countless hours, the great attitude. Mayor Pete couldn't have picked a better person to represent the city while he was out. And again, thanks for all the conversations, all the good things you've done for South Bend.
Yeah, Mark, thank you. The city's certainly in a better place because of your service. I really think the entire community owes you a wealth of gratitude for the way you stepped up and took on this role. Thank you.
To Deputy Mayor Mark Neal, I sincerely thank you so much for your commitment, one, to the city, to the citizens that we serve. It has been a sincere pleasure working with you, talking with you, sharing ideas, and giving you feedback as well. And I really appreciate the spirit in which you accepted my feedback. And the city is better because of what you've done in terms of stepping up, taking on the leadership during a time in which the mayor was not here. And you've done an excellent job. And you will be truly missed.
What is the council's pleasure?
Can't wait for the public to speak.
Oh, that's fine. No, I'm okay. Public. On this one, yeah, we need a pause. Thank you, Doctor. Yeah, we have a few public. Some administration. Some opposition.
Line up.
Cecil Eastman. I work in the office in this building on the 12th floor. I began my career here in September of 2012 after having a very interesting conversation/interview with John Murphy and Mark Neal. And in case you haven't learned it of me by now, Oliver Goldsmith, the 18th century author, put it best when he said, "Sell when you can, for you are not for all markets." I came out of left field because that's where I live, and yet these folks gave me a job. And I got to tell you, this is the best gig I have ever had, and I owe it to John Murphy and Mr. Mark Neal. And Mark, I want to thank you very much. And a while ago, I suggested that you and I go out for a beer, and I still want to have that happen.
Catherine Ernst with offices on the 14th floor of this building. I've had a chance to thank Mark personally for all that he's done for our community, and it's been a pleasure to work with him over the last several months. There have been many opportunities for us to take on the challenges that were before us, and I very much appreciated the leadership that Mark provided. It was a pleasure to have him in the mayor's office with our whole entire team, so if it's fair for the rest of our team, I speak on behalf of them and thanking Mark for his dedication and his service, and it's a good thing I still have your phone number, so I'll call you occasionally. Thank you.
Yeah, but keep that phone number. Satisfied? You good?
Move that we adopt this by acclamation.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Don't forget about that. Move Clerk Woody, can you read the next bill, please? 1489, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, publicly honoring Deb Martin, the principal of Madison Primary Center, for winning the 2014 Indiana Governor and Sherry Daniels School Health Award.
With Deb Martin and all her friends and supporters, come up here, please. Come on up.
Come on down.
Okay. Resolution 439114. Whereas the South Bend Common Council notes that in 2012, the Indiana Governor and Sherry Daniels School Health Award was created to recognize Indiana Governor and Sherry Daniels' leadership in many contributions to the health of Indiana residents through their work of building and promoting In Shape, the Health Indiana Plan, and their tireless efforts to promote healthy initiatives in schools throughout the states. And whereas the Common Council further recognizes this award recognizing individuals who are strong advocates of student health or healthy school environments and have made outstanding contributions. And whereas the South Bend Common Council is honored to recognize Deb Martin, the principal of Madison Primary Center in South Bend Community School Corporation, who is selected to be the winner of the 2014 Indiana Governor and Sherry Daniels School Health Award. Some of Ms. Martin's many exemplary health initiatives in both McKinley and Madison Primary Centers include kicking off Let's Move campaign in conjunction with the South Bend Let's Move City, teaming with community leaders and participating in the National Walk Bike to School Day, starting the Breakfast in the Classrooms program, making school procedural changes such as moving lunch after recess, implementing the Catch program to ensure physical activity during the recess, and removing physical activity during disciplinary action. Creating the largest school garden program in the district by collaborating with parents, church groups, businesses, nonprofit agencies, local government, and local media. Raising awareness for the disabled so that raised garden boxes would be accessible to participation. Having students document and journaling their experiences on gardening so they could plan, measure, and teach one another the basics of gardening techniques. Also, created a fresh fruit and produce bar for the students. Therefore, it be resolved by the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, as follows. Section 1. The Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, publicly honors Deb Martin, Principal of Madison Primary Center, this year's winner of the Governor and Sherry Daniels School Health Award. Section 2. Under Ms. Martin's leadership, McKinley Primary Center won the Healthier School U.S. School Challenge Goals of Distinction Award in 2013, and whereas the first of only 2 schools in Indiana to be so honored. Section 3. The Common Council believes Deb Martin epitomizes excellence in her wishes to continue success in her career and dedicated to the creative passions and energies educating our youth. Congratulations. And finally, 4. This resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption by the Common Council, approval by the Mayor of South Bend. So, thank you so much, Deb Martin. What you do go above and beyond like most teachers, principals, and other administrators in our school. So, thank you. So, at this time, anybody would like to say a few words?
I would.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Trisha Deal. I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Deb Martin about 3 years ago when my son, Cameron, went to school in McKinley, and she is an amazing principal. We missed her dearly because she's not at her school anymore, but we know that she will do a fantastic job wherever she is. I just want to let you know.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Mayor? Sure, I'll be brief. Madison's a school dear to my heart because I see it every morning off my front porch when I go to pick up the South Bend Tribune, and I think about how things are going for the kids there. And every time I have a chance to go over there, I see energy, I see the good work that's going on there, and I see leadership with the principals. So you have been a credit to South Bend, and in particular, we know how important it is to promote healthy living, because if our kids learn it, they're going to grow up to be healthier adults, and our whole city will be better off. So keep up the great work, as I know you will, and congratulations again. Turn it back to you, President.
Coming down the list, Council.
Principal Martin, thank you for your commitment. I have obviously a soft spot in my heart for teachers and administrators that work in the school corporation. My wife obviously has been a teacher for a very long time. Ms. Ruskowski, how are you doing? That was me back in Kennedy, so it's been some time. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of the teachers get a bad rap, administrators as well. I'm not for the charter school deal, and I'm not on a political rant right now. I just think those things have really hurt us really, really bad in our quality of public education. And so when the school board doesn't want to decide not to give teachers a raise or anything, we need to obviously show these examples of why raises need to be met. We need to show these reasons why schools are not that bad and they don't need to be always tarnished as far as their reputation. So I say keep going, keep moving. Thank you so much for your commitment, and I applaud you, all of you.
thank you so much for what you do. I'm truly humbled. I am sometimes intimidated by managing just one child, let alone having to manage multiple children and move them along an educational continuum. So I am truly, I admire and I'm very humbled by what all of you do. You, of course, are working with our future, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Besides my parents, my teachers were the most influential people in my life. And I can't thank you enough for what you do, because you are the people that are really going to turn society around. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Ms. Martin, and to the staff at Madison, my old school. I was there for several years, and some of my best years in education. I'm glad to be back in the school system. And I'm really glad, and plus you're Cubs in the city that we are Cubs, so that's really nice to know. And I really believe it says one positive word can change a child's life. And you lead by example, and each one of you, when you come to work, that one positive word that somebody can share will change a life, which will change a family, which will change the city. And we thank you for starting that spark in each child that you deal with every day.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the award, and I know you'll probably be very likely to say something along the lines, it's a good staff that helps you too, and a good administration, and I think we all recognize that from having to work together within the city, so congratulations and best wishes for the future.
Great job. We're very proud of you. I've had the distinction of coming to that school a lot with the book program, working with the kids and all the staff. You do have a fabulous staff, and I think it's the leadership that you've shown, and it comes down to everybody there. So great job with all the kids. It's until people get into school and start with the K's through the 4s of knowing how difficult that can be. You've done a tremendous job. So again, very proud. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you so much for what you do, both as a principal, but especially to promote health in this community. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this recognition, and I really appreciate all your hard work, the work of the staff. As educators, we have a great opportunity to touch lives on a daily basis. I can't think of any better way to live than to have that ability to touch the lives of young people and to shape and mold them to become adults that we know that they can become. So thank you so much.
All righty. What is this council? Yes. Anybody in the public? Anybody else? You're good? You want to share anything? Or?
Silent leadership.
I understand. Council's pleasure.
Move that we adopt this by acclamation.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Welcome up. Hello. Y'all can come up. Come around.
Are you doing that?
Yeah, come around. Everybody come on stage. We want to shake your hands.
Congratulations. Thanks so much.
Come on, we want to shake your hands. This is teamwork here. Thank you. Good job. Great. See ya. Y'all take a picture? All right. Clerk Woody, can you read the next bill, please?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, proclaiming that the third weekend in July be dedicated as Spirit Animal Nation at Ottawa Park.
This is a fun one. This is probably the best one I've ever been associated with. I think they should have Kermit the Frog and the Rainbow Connection in the background music. These two guys take a saw and they trim a tree closer than Tim Scott's haircut, okay? So, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, proclaiming that the third weekend in July be dedicated as Spirit Animal Nation Weekend at Potawatomi Park. Whereas the animal tree carvings have brought pride to Potawatomi Park, and may I say a lot of smiles. And whereas the carvings have turned dead oak stumps into magical spirit animals for all generations, especially for our children to enjoy, whereas Victor Riley and Rod Trailblazer Goodchild have teamed up to fund carve these magical animals at no cost to South Bend taxpayers, and whereas the first carving was approved in October 2013, and since then 8 dead trees have been set aside for carving, and 6 have already been carved. The first being the eagle has landed in front of the Ella Morris greenhouse, the second one 6 spirit animals, Big Roo and the eagle nest in the northeast sector of Potawatomi Park. Whereas families have already been inspired by the carvings in the park, and many pictures have been taken standing next to spirit animals, empowering our youth to dream big and succeed. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed by the South Bend Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, as follows. Section 1, that the third weekend in July be dedicated to Spirit Animal Nation Weekend at Potawatomi Park. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from here and after its adoption by the council and approval by the mayor. Rod, please come up. This guy's brought a lot of smiles to a lot of faces and allows us to be kids once again. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Furwick. It's a pleasure growing up on 2912 Pleasant Street, good child. It's an honor to be a part of that tradition. All I can say is that from the grassroots of my dad growing up in Menominee Nation and Neopet on an Indian tribe, nothing is more precious to us than trees. And in particular, we have the oldest park, Potawatomi, we have the oldest trees, the oaks, and now we got spirit animals that we just, for your information, put, when people say we don't have a 28-foot giraffe in the park, we do now, and it's just incredible what you can do with just a little imagination and seeing the smiles that come from the children when they can be embraced by such magnificent pride that it empowers them when they're a part of going and playing hide and seek and climbing up the kangaroo, going and see the nest 25 foot up with the eagles and all the big bears and the other unbelievable creating. And Victor Riley, I just want to shout out, he is the #1 carver of woodwork in the Midwest, and you got the best of both worlds here coming together, and it's just been tremendous, the support that we've had from the council, and I thank every one of you, and I know it's been a journey, and it's been wonderful, Dr. Furwick, to see how we brought and instilled that pride in our community in River Park.
Before we ask the council, I'd like to also thank John Vorty, who has taken this on as a cause, and I think it's a wonderful gesture you've done, John. Thank you. Tim, would you like to make a comment, please?
Thank you for everything you do. A lot of people don't see the beauty and the artwork that is captured inside of a tree, and it's great what you're doing. Thank you.
Henry?
Yeah, I was forward since day one. I thought it was a great idea. Looking forward to seeing the finished products. Just one request. Janice Talboon wants a panther in her front yard. And so I told her no because we throw eggs at it, but just as a reminder or understanding that she wants a panther. I guess it's for that school over there.
Rod, thank you for your passion. It's been very exciting.
It's fitting that we are doing this today, on a day that we really should honor in a lot of different ways those who were here in terms of Native Americans, and on the Spirit Day that we're looking at instead of what we do honor. So I look at that as a way to say that I'm glad we're honoring this today as we look at that instead of some other things. But thank you.
Dave?
Every now and then there's one of these projects that comes before us. It's kind of hard to get your hands around it, you know? You talk about what Rod had talked about doing, and it sounded really interesting, but you just wonder what the outcome is really going to be. And a year and a half into it, I'm happy to say that it's beyond the expectations that most people had. And I've known Mr. Riley for a number of years. He's a great guy, and for him to do this sort of thing on behalf of his talents, but just to offer it to the city and do what he's done has been magnificent. I want to make sure, and Roger did, that he gets plenty of credit for this too, because it's been an interesting undertaking, and I think the results are beyond our expectations. So congratulations, and thanks for your willingness to champion it.
Thank you very much for all the work you've done. When you want to come to the west side, there's plenty of parks that I could hook you up into, so when you're finished doing your projects there, but you can come over to the west side and we can get some work done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank God for all the great work you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you dropping the book by, too. Thank you so much.
Just a comment, you know, my father, a good child, he was the first good child ever to graduate from high school, the first good child ever to go to college, the first good child to graduate, a chemical engineer, and the first good child that ran NIPSCO from 46 until he retired 35 years later.
Wow.
He built the Marion football and track. It inspired me. And I thank you all for understanding how important it was to me to save the trees and not to see any more chopped to the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Good job.
Good job.
Good job. All right. Thank you. You're welcome. This time, do I have a motion to resolve this committee of health?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. It's being resolved.
Okay, so gavel free. The committee of the whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council meeting where the council sits as a committee. Proposed ordinances are read by title only by City Clerk John Bordy. Reports are then verbally given by the chairperson of the council standing committee to which the proposed ordinance was sent for an advisory review and recommendation. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member of area plan will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report, and then the formal presentation followed by a public hearing. We do ask that everybody turn their cell phones to silent mode out of respect for our guests. So, I now ask City Clerk John Bordy to read Substitute Bill 4314.
Public hearing on a bill of the city of South Bend, Indiana, levying taxes and fixing the rate of taxation for the purpose of raising revenue to meet the necessary expenses of the civil city of South Bend for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015.
Thank you, Clerk Bordy. The person...
The formal presentation was given in a prior council meeting, so it is in the council portion at this time. Unless there are questions of the presenter, council can begin.
Thank you. Is that the same for the numerous other bills, or just... Okay.
All bills that are listed on the second page in bold that are in the council portion.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Amen.
Thank you. Great. All right. So, as I had mentioned, the Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier today and sends Substitute Bill 4314 to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Now I will invite the presenter to the podium and tell us about Substitute Bill 4314.
It's ready for a vote.
Can we do a vote in the...
Yes.
This is the council portion, so you take the recommendation.
Which we did. Committee recommendation. Now, Mr. Scott, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to send Substitute Bill 4314 to the full council with favorable recommendation.
Second. I will say, but I think for the sake of clarification, if Councilmember Shea doesn't mind, we're going to be going through these pretty quickly, and this tax levy, since it was addressed this afternoon, is pretty much, and Kathy, is it all right for John to explain this? I mean, we have public here that was not here.
A brief statement.
I think it's important because we're going to go through a number of bills,
To the public.
some of which are housekeeping, this being one of them, and I think it's good to have an explanation for the public who wasn't here this afternoon, if that's okay with you.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, sure, that'd be fine. Thank you,
All right, thank you.
Sure,
Councilor Varner.
withdraw my motion. 4314, ordinance levying taxes and fixing the rate of property. This affects four funds in the civil city: the general fund, Parks and Recreation Fund, Cumulative Capital Development Fund, and Hall of Fame Bond Fund. In actuality, these are illustrative rates only. Our actual property tax rate is determined by the Department of Local Government Finance. They do that in February after all the net assessed values are compiled for the entire county, and so we don't really set the property tax rate, but we need to advertise and so forth, and so this is important that we go ahead and get this passed. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
John, if I could piggyback, just to expound on what Councilman Varner was mentioning. So, for members of the community joining us tonight, the council will vote on a tax levy rate, which is ultimately controlled by the property tax cap, which you are all very familiar with. 1% of your home's assessed value, 2% if it's a rental property, and 3% if it's a business. So, although while you're reviewing the information for this bill, ultimately, the tax levy that we set will be capped by the 1, 2, or 3%, which is what the property tax cap has set forward. So it's the assessed value. I'm sorry.
Right, that's a good point. These are based on the net assessed value. The property tax caps are based on gross assessed, so it's apples and oranges, really. The state law controls 1% for residential, 2% for rental, and 3% for commercial and business. You're correct, Councilmember Shea.
So thank you, John, and thank you, Councilman Varner. So there was a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Let me confirm with your phone for a second. Just a scrivener's error in section 1. If you would change in the second line in section 1 where it says fiscal year 2013 to fiscal year 2014 to be collected in year 2015 as opposed to 2014. So we need an amendment to that effect.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So Kathy, we're now talking about the second substitute.
Now we need...
No, it's not a substitute, it's just the substitute.
As amended.
Okay.
A motion.
Council, can I have a motion for substitute Bill 4314 as amended?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Substitute Bill 4314 as amended will go to the full council favor.
Right. 44.
Make a motion to continue 4414 to 102714. Second.
And it should be continued in the council portion.
Only.
And, yes, and sent back to the Personnel and Finance Committee.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Bill 4414 will go to October 27th and back to the Personnel and Finance for additional discussion.
Correct.
Alrighty. Clerk Vorty, would you please read Bill 4514?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating monies for the purpose of defraying the expenses of the designated enterprise funds of the City of South Bend, Indiana, for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2015 and ending December 31st, 2015, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing a time when the same shall take effect.
Thank you. The Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier today and sends Bill 4514 to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Council Attorney Sikansky, so no dialogue is needed.
Unless Mr. Murphy would like to give a couple sentences just to
I think it's a good idea.
This is so successful.
If you go, you know what?
I'm all for
Sorry
it.
about that. This bill is the budget bill for the enterprise fund, which are the business-type funds for the city. They don't receive property taxes. Their source of revenue is charges for services. The largest enterprise funds is our solid waste, wastewater, and waterworks. So we ask you for your favorable consideration of this bill.
Thank you. Council,
I'll move for a favorable recommendation. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill 4514 goes to full council with a favorable recommendation. Clerk 40, would you please read Bill 4614?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating, adopting, and approving the South Bend Public Transportation Corporation's 2015 budget and levying the tax and fixing the rate of taxation for the purpose of raising revenue to fund the South Bend Public Transportation Corporation, South Bend, Indiana, for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015.
The Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier today and sends Bill 4614 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Just a second.
Please share your name and address.
Chris Kubizak, 1401 South Lafayette, work location, and I'm the controller of Transpo. We're seeking approval of our 2015 budget of $10,127,920, which is about 3.3% increase over the prior year.
Thank you, sir. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move for favorable recommendation. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Bill 4614 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. The following bills are not in council, unfortunately. Okay. Clerk 40, would you please read Bill 4914?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, setting the annual salary for the mayor for calendar year 2015.
Thank you. Clerk 40, the Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier and sends 4914 to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Mr. Murphy, can you tell us about this?
This bill sets the salary for the mayor at $102,440. It's a 2% increase, which is consistent with the non-bargaining salary ordinance, the Teamster contract, the city clerk's increase, and the Common Council increase. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Council, yes, Councilman Davis?
You know what, since you said that and you jogged my memory, these raises, when they're given, are they given on some type of merit or just because somebody else is getting, everybody else should get one?
As far as the non-bargaining?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like, because one side got it, the other side should get it. Mm-hmm. And I was just wondering, I'm not, singling out this particular budget issue, but I'm talking about all of them. It just seems like if, this person got it or this department got it, this department gets it.
No. Well, the non-bargaining does set the maximum salary that can be paid, but it's not always the case that somebody will earn the maximum pay. That's based more on performance and ability and so forth. In this case, the mayor would be, paid this amount, just like the council. It sets an exact amount, but for the non-bargaining, it sets a not-to-exceed amount.
Any other questions from council?
Hold on, you still asked my question. So is there a criteria that allows a person to get more within their area of work or their department?
As far as bonuses and
so forth? Is it a merit pay deal or no? I mean, that's my question.
We don't have a formal merit pay system. We're, thinking about that and considering that for possible future implementation. We don't currently have that.
So how are pay raises awarded?
Based on the confines of the salary ordinance, being the top level of what you can get paid, up to that amount, based on job classifications and responsibilities and so forth.
All right.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, I open the opportunity for residents to come to the microphone. Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 4914, please come forward, state your name and address, and share your thoughts. Seeing no one, is there anyone here wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 4914? Seeing no one, I bring it back to the council.
Favor recommendation.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Bill 4914 goes favorably. Clerk 40, would you please read Bill 5014?
Public hearing on a bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, setting the annual salary for the city clerk for calendar year 2015.
Thank you. The Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier and sends 5014 to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Do I have a presenter?
Would you like me to comment?
Yes.
Well, the city clerk's salary is pegged at the 2% of all non-bargaining, and in this case, some of the bargaining units are getting. Believe me, I'm grateful for it, and hope that you'll support it.
Thank you, Clerk 40.
Very brief.
Is there anyone from the, I'm sorry, I should first offer council. Any questions? No. Anyone from the audience wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5014? If so, please come to the podium. Seeing no one, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Please come to the podium. Seeing no one, I bring it back to the council.
Favor recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. However, point of order, there was a question on the floor.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't ask earlier. Mr. Clerk Bordy, question, when you award pay raises, are you doing it on a scale or is it a merit? How do you award pay raises to your people in your department?
We have a job description and a list of duties, and it is my judgment as to where in the allowable pay range, ceiling identified by the salary ordinance, that people are paid. So it is in my judgment. My own salary, I guess, is judged by the electorate.
Right.
But within my office, I, as you know, have asked for a couple of exceptions, special adjustments for members of the staff due to their taking on duties not previously part of their job description and performing them well and serving, in some cases, with considerable tenure in the performance of their duties. So it's up to me.
No, I understand that. That's why I asked you, how did you award them? So it's subjective, obviously, to your own opinion and the performance of that individual in that particular job description. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for asking.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the motion carries. Bill, that would have been Bill 5014, goes to the full council favorably. Next bill is 5114. Clerk 40, can you please read that bill?
Public hearing on a bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, setting the annual salary for the common council for calendar year 2015.
Thank you, Clerk 40. The Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier and sends 5114 to the full council favorably.
Okay. Oliver Davis, I'm President of the Council, 1801 Nash Street, South Bend, Indiana, 46613. And we are joining in with everyone to ask for the same 2%, which would bring us to a little over 18,292, something like that. And of course, this is with 27 paychecks next year, something like that. That's cool. Very glad to see that. And so that's where we are. Any questions? The electorate supervises you and everything else does that. You have a question for me?
No, the same question I've been asking because I'm just really looking at these pay raises things and how they are awarded. And so based upon the council performance as it relates to does it qualify, or how does this work? Do we just continue to increase our salaries by 2%? I'm not against it, but I'm just asking how are we going to, I guess, be a little more transparent about how we increase our salaries and why are we increasing them? Is it a 2% cost of living increase?
Well, I believe that as we are able to, it's better to have improved working conditions on all levels. And for us to be consistent with the working environment, I think as long as we can move forward. And the people who judge us will be the elected officials. When we go before the election, those who are running again will be judged. Those who are not, rest their hearts. And that's the real key.
Well, the reason why I'm asking that question is not to dig anybody on council, and not even you. That's not my point. I've always advocated that this council probably needs to go to full-time status, given the amount of work, boards, and different things that we are a part of and supposed to be a part of, but many of us can't do it because of other obligations with other jobs that we have. So that's why I asked that question. I think people do not necessarily understand what the role of a councilman really is. And they never really would take the opportunity to find out because the only time they see it is when we're here functioning as a council. So I would say this too, conversation exactly about what our job duties are, and I'm not being funny about it, I'm being completely honest about the amount of boards that we serve on, about the amount of committees that we serve on, and then not only that, the other time that we're out in the community when you're always a councilman. You're not never a councilman, you're always a councilman, you're always on call. So that's why I asked that question. I'm not asking that question to pick or, poke at things. I think that there is a reasonable conversation that needs to happen about the elected official, and especially the council person, because I think that there are a lot of responsibility that we do not get credit for. And then when it's time for an increase in salary, oh, you guys don't deserve that. You need to just volunteer to do that job. Are you serious? That's my response, because I don't think people really understand the amount of work that we do. Now, somebody just wants to treat it as a part-time job, just show up to meetings and just vote. That's fine, but other people may take it a little bit more serious and do the job at its highest level.
And part of people understanding our role would almost have to be in our role, to be honest with you. I think Mark Neal has a whole different appreciation of Pete after being in his role over the last few months. So I understand that sometimes even a percentage of, or not percentage, helps people sometimes to understand, but at the end of the day, that's not really the whole key. It's really just to, as we can, let's move forward. And if we can't, we can't. And other entities around the area are also basing a lot of their negotiations off what we do here too, so it's important to always look at it. Any other final questions?
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Council President Davis, at this point, I'm going to open it to
That's cool.
the public. So I now invite members of the community to come to the podium to share your thoughts. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5114, please come forward and do so. Okay, seeing no one. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 5114, please come forward. Seeing no one, I bring it back to the council.
Favorable recommendation. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so the bill will go favorably to the full council. Bill 5214, Clerk Forty, can you please read the bill?
Public hearing on the bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, fixing maximum wages of Teamster employees for calendar year 2014, 2015, 2016.
Thank you, sir. Bill 5214 was heard by the Personnel and Finance Committee earlier today and is sent forward with a favorable recommendation. Take it away, John.
John Murphy, City Controller. The Teamsters is a negotiated labor agreement. This is the second year advised by council that we need to adopt an ordinance to implement it for 2015. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions for Controller Murphy? Seeing none, thank you, John. I will now open it to the public. Anyone from the community wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5214, please come to the podium. Share your thoughts. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 5214, please come to the podium. Seeing no one, I bring it back to the council.
Motion favorable recommendation.
Motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. 5214 goes favorably. Clerk Forty, would you please read Bill 5314?
Public hearing on a bill fixing maximum salaries and wages of appointed officers and non-bargaining employees of the city of South Bend, Indiana for calendar year 2015.
Thank you, Clerk Forty. The Personnel and Finance Committee met earlier and sent Bill 5314 forward favorably. John?
Thank you. The non-bargaining employee and officer salary ordinance, you have received the table of salaries for various positions. It is a 2% increase generally. There are some exceptions for, like what John Gordy talked about, as far as in his office. We try to work with the departments as an example of that. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Council. Are there any questions for City Councilor Murphy? Seeing none, thank you. We will now open it to the community. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of Bill 5314? Seeing no one. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to Bill 5314? Seeing no one, I bring it back to the council.
Motion favorable recommendation.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5314 goes forward favorably. For Bill 5414 and 5514.
Make a motion to continue 5414 and 5514 to 1027. Second.
And they need to be referred to Health and Public Safety.
Oh, yeah. So,
A motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Bill 5414 and 5514 will be referred to the Health and Public Safety Committee and will be continued to October 27th. Can I have a motion to convene to adjourn the committee of the whole?
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Full council is now back in session. Just for the record, and I do apologize if you were here for this, we have moved due to different situations that came up over the last few hours. The discussions for the TIF issues, that is 1491 and Bill 1494, that's going to be heard on October the 27th in the afternoon, the meeting starts around 3:30, and then the evening starts at 7 o'clock. So if you are here for any reason regarding the TIF matter, we did have a very lively discussion on parts of issues that will affect that this afternoon. That was not the full extent of where we were going with everything else, because some other issues have to come up. So all that will be dealt with later on the 27th. Okay. Now let's move on. Okay, Clerk Forty, could you give us third reading on Bill 4314?
Third reading on a bill of the City of South Bend, Indiana, levying taxes and fixing the rate of taxation for the purpose of raising revenue to meet the necessary expenses of the civil city of South Bend for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015.
A motion to amend this wasn't included in the whole.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side. It's carried. Now, we need another motion?
I'll move the passage of the bill as amended.
Clerk Forty, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis?
Aye.
Mrs. Shea?
Aye.
Dr. Furlick?
Aye.
Dr. Barnes?
Aye.
Vice President Peter? Mr. Furlick?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
President Davis?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Could you now read a third reading for Bill 4414?
No, 45.
Yes. Thank you. 45.
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating money for the purpose of declaring the expenses of the designated enterprise funds of the City of South Bend, Indiana for fiscal year beginning January 1, 2015 and ending December 31st, 2015, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing a time when the same shall take effect.
Is there anything regarding the wording of that? Okay, go ahead.
Move for the passage of 4514.
Second.
Mr. Wardy, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley. Dr. Warner.
Aye.
Vice President Peter. Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
And President Davis.
Aye.
9-0.
Thank you. You read our next third reading.
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating, adopting, and approving the South Bend Public Transportation Corporation's 2015 budget and levying the tax and fixing the rate of taxation for the purpose of raising revenue to fund the South Bend Public Transportation Corporation, South Bend, Indiana, for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015.
Move for the passage of 4614.
Second.
Mr. Wardy, would you please take the roll?
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley. Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Vice President Peter. Mr. Furley. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Mr. Henry Davis. And President Davis.
Aye.
9-0.
Thank you. Now, could you have a third reading on Bill 4914?
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, for the annual salary for the mayor for calendar year 2015.
Motion for the passage of 4914.
Second.
Oh, Mr. Wardy.
Dr. Furley. Dr. Varner. Vice President Peter. Mr. Furley. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
And President Oliver Davis. 8 ayes, 1 nay.
Thank you. Okay, we have a third reading on the Bill 5014.
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, setting the annual salary for the city clerk for calendar year 2015.
Move for the passage of 5014.
Second.
Could you please take the roll?
Dr. Varner. Aye. Vice President Peter. Mr. Furley. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley. And President Oliver Davis. 9 ayes.
Thank you. Could you now have a third reading for Bill 5114?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, setting the annual salary for the Common Council for calendar year 2015.
Motion to accept.
Move for passage.
Motion to pass.
Second.
Mr. Wardy, would you please take the roll?
Vice President Peter. Mr. Furley. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Nay.
Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley. Dr. Varner. President Oliver Davis. 7 ayes and 2 nays.
Thank you. Could we now read Bill 5214 for the third time?
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, fixing maximum wages of Teamster employees for calendar year 2014, 2015, and 2016.
Move for the passage of 5214. Second.
Mr. Wardy, would you please take the roll?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley. Dr. Varner. Vice President Peter. And President Oliver. 9 ayes.
Thank you. Now, third reading on Bill 5314.
Third reading on a bill fixing maximum salaries and wages of appointed officers and non-bargaining employees of the City of South Bend, Indiana for calendar year 2015.
Move for the passage of 5314. Second.
Mr. Wardy, please take the roll.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley. Dr. Varner. Vice President Peters. Mr. Furley. And President Oliver Davis. Aye. 9 ayes. Thank you. Now please have a third reading on Bill 5414. No, we're not doing no third and nothing else. We're now down to bill for resolutions. First reading, bill, resolution. 1484. Go ahead.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 746 South Arnold.
Okay. Committee report.
The Zoning and Annexation Committee sends 1484 to the full council with favorable recommendation.
Yes.
Good evening, Chuck Bulow, Building Commissioner, City of South Bend and St. Joseph County, with offices at 125 South Lafayette. At the September 3rd meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, this petition for a special exception to allow a communications tower within 500 feet of a residential district and a variance from the required black vinyl coated fence to no fence and from the required screening to no screening was heard and comes to you this evening with a favorable recommendation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Bulow? No. No questions from the council? Okay, now open up for public.
No, the form.
There's one all the way down. Now, so therefore, we don't need a
Petitioner.
petitioner. Okay, go ahead. Is there still a petitioner?
Scott? Oh, no, sorry. Wrong one. Yes, we're just petitioning for approval of the... I'm sorry. I'm representing Kramer Sealing Associates. My name is Joseph Trimboli, and the property is 746 South Arnold Street, South Bend, Indiana. And we're requesting approval of the zoning for the property located at 746 South Arnold for the installation of a communications tower for our wireless internet business.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Yes, you have one question from Dr. Reiner.
Most of the cell towers why did you manage to avoid the screening and the fencing? The property is already fenced. Already, okay. Yeah, there's fencing all the way around the property that was already there. That was my thing. Thank you.
All right. Now, public. Those who like to speak in favor, please come forward. Those who like to speak in opposition, please come forward. Public hearing is now closed. Council.
Move for the adoption of 1485.
Second.
Mr. Ward.
Mr. Scott.
Actually, point of order, move for adoption at 1484.
I heard it too. Second.
Okay, Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Vice President Lee. Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Now, could you read Bill 1485?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 509 South Eddy Street.
Thank you. Before we continue and get a report from our Z&A Committee Chair, we have a disclosure.
Sure. 1485 and 1486 involve a matter that pertains to my employer, so I will recuse myself from the vote.
Thank you. Now we move to our report from Councilman Tim Scott.
Zoning and annexation met earlier this afternoon. We send 1485 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Bulow, could you please give us...
Yes, Chuck Bulow, City of South Bend, Building Commissioner, offices 125 South Lafayette. At the September 3rd meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, this petition for a special exception to co-locate a communication antenna on an existing billboard on property at 509 South Eddy Street was heard and comes to you with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bulow? Seeing none, we now move to public. Petitioner. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Petitioner.
I apologize. Go ahead, sir. Please identify yourself.
Good evening. My name is Scott Garcia. I'm here on behalf of the petitioners, Verizon Wireless and also Burkhart Advertisement. I live at 2004 Coneflower Court in Yorkville, Illinois, and we are seeking your approval for the co-location of a small cell facility to be located on the existing Burkhart billboard sign.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. For the public, those who like to speak in favor? Those who like to speak in opposition? Council's pleasure.
Move for the adoption of Bill 1485.
Second.
Mr. Ward.
Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Yes.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Barnes. Vice President Peter. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. And President Oliver Davis. Vote is 8-0.
Thank you. Now for Bill 1486, can you please read that?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 609 East LaSalle.
Thank you. For zoning, Mr. Tippett.
Zoning and annexation met this earlier afternoon and sent 1486 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Velo.
Chuck Bueller, Building Commissioner, offices at 125 South Lafayette. At the September 3rd meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals, this petition for a special exception to co-locate a communication antenna on an existing billboard was heard and comes to you this evening with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Now, our presenter. State your name and address in a short synopsis.
My name is Scott Garcia. I am here on behalf of Verizon Wireless and Burkhart Advertisement. I still live at 2004 Coneflower Court in Yorkville, Illinois, and I'm seeking your approval for a co-location of a microcell antenna to be located on the existing billboard owned by Burkhart Advertisement.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing no questions for the public. Those who like to speak in favor? Those who like to speak in opposition?
Move for the adoption of 1486.
Thank you. Mr. Wardy.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley. Dr. Barnard. Vice President Peters. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Mr. Henry Davis. And President Howard. 8 ayes.
Thank you. Now we're settling down to, do we have to vote on the procedures, or we don't need to do that, do we?
We start 1490.
1490.
That's confirming, go ahead.
A resolution confirming the adoption of a declaratory resolution designating a certain area within the city of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 1203 North Notre Dame Avenue, as a residentially distressed area for purposes of a 5-year residential real property tax abatement for Michael Seaman.
Thank you. And is there a presenter? What do we do?
Call his name 3 times.
Next meeting with notice from the clerk's office for the October 27th meeting.
Do we have to vote on that?
You need a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Please continue. Now, we go to first reading. Okay. Bill 5614.
First reading on the bill to vacate the following described property. The first east-west alley south of Colfax Avenue from Lafayette Boulevard to the first north-south alley.
Thank you. What is your pleasure?
Motion to send Bill 5614 to zoning and annexation of public works and property vacation.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize. Public works property vacation for 1027.
for second and third reading.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. First reading, 5714.
First reading on a bill to vacate the following described property. The alley to be vacated is the first east-west alley north of Lincoln Way West, from the west right-of-way line of Elmer Street to the first north-south alley.
I make a motion to send Bill 5714 to Public Works and Property vacation for 10/27.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same sign. It is carried. Thank you for 5814.
First reading on bill to amend the zoning ordinance for property located at 1430 Mishawaka Avenue, Councilmanic District 3, in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Make a motion to send Bill 5814 to zoning and annexation for technical to the Area Planning Commission.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's carried. Now, on unfinished business, so I have your pleasure on Bill 1492. This is a special exception for 326 East Jefferson Boulevard.
I move that bill number 1492 go to zoning and annexation for second, third reading, public hearing on 10/27.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It is carried. On the new business, what I have asked, you should be aware of, just when it comes down to questions that have come to me regarding the youth council, that the council is looking at right now. I've asked our council attorney to look at what the role of this council is and how to deal with areas of activities for leadership and everything else, and we'll be meeting with different members regarding that matter over the next couple of weeks to make a presentation to us at our meeting in the 27th. Yes?
I have no business to.
Okay, so she will be looking at that matter and talking to those who are interested in working with that area and those who have raised questions. So, Nancy, our attorney, will be looking into that matter for us. All right?
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Davis. I had mentioned earlier and will mention again, and perhaps if the Tribune wanted to provide an update for citizens. Our county assessor, I see Rosemary Manandrici, joined us this evening. Earlier in personnel and finance, I had mentioned for residents who received an increase in their assessed value for their property, for those residents wishing to, if they had an issue with the increase of the assessment or wanted to file an appeal, they have until November 18th to do so. I did print out the forms for anyone wishing to file an appeal. Again, they do need to be into the assessor's office no later than November 18th, correct? And that's the third floor. So.
Thank you. Any other final situation?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Kara is the only person here from the administration. Right. She pointed to you. Did you catch it? How you doing, sir? I need some help. I've been emailing and calling Public Works probably for the better part of this whole summer. I need some signs for the Martin Luther King Recreational Center and also Charles Black Recreational Center, directional signs on the major thoroughfares because they have, obviously activities that bring people in from outside of this immediate community and people tend to get lost because they don't know where it's at. I mean, folks that are around obviously know where they're at, but when they are doing sports programs and all these different events, they are actually pulling a lot of people in from different areas, and people just get lost. I've been asking for these signs for the better part of the summer. If you want to see my emails, I will forward them to you. I've left several messages on Corbett's phone, the gentleman that's the head of Public Works as well. I mean, just over and over again. So we need some signs out there as soon as possible. Wherever they think the signs are best used at, given the traffic count, we need the signs out there so people know where to go. For the two recreation centers, Martin Luther King and the Charles Black Recreation Center. And Dr. Furtick, I agree wholeheartedly with you about the violence issue. I think that is key issue. I think it should receive as much support as possible from the administration as well from the council. I think that the violence doesn't happen just on the 4th district. I think it happens in the 2nd, 1st, all over the entire city. As there has been a response because there was a student from Holy Cross that has suffered a gunshot wound. It's just the same as a person who lives on the west side of South Bend or the north side that receives the same type of treatment from a bad person. So I hope that we all look at violence as being the same, and I hope that we can do something to start correcting it. It doesn't happen because people think it's a good idea. I think we're dealing with a huge issue about poverty in the city. I think their poverty rate is close to 30%. I think the unemployment rate is above or is double digits. I think that 74% of our kids are on free or reduced lunch, which still tells you that we're in a poverty situation. So clearly we need to start investing in the areas that need it the most. You're talking about job gain, you're talking about infrastructure improvements, you're talking about programs to help rebuild the community, not destroying homes anymore, trying to get them renovated. We really need to look at what are we doing to improve it versus saying that we're just going to spend dollars and dollars of money on changing street lanes when that really doesn't do anything but change the street lane. We need to start investing back in the neighborhoods. I think Karen said something about that earlier. I wholeheartedly agree with that. We need to start reinvesting in the neighborhoods. If we don't start reinvesting at a high level in these neighborhoods, obviously the violence is going to continue, and it's going to continue to be supported by our lack of attention for it or to it. But I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Thank you. Just one last note before we close. If we could just plan to send a letter to those in the county area for their work to beautify this room. This is our first meeting, and I hope you're enjoying the chairs that you're sitting on. And I'm enjoying the chair that I'm sitting on. And it's really nice. So, therefore, and the carpet looks nice. So we've complained about this for a while, and now we have a nice room. I think we need to give them all a big clap for this room. Okay. So, we'll get a letter out to you to say thank you, and areas that we can improve, let's continue to do that. Now, privilege of the floor, we have Councilman Scott, if you can time everybody. Those who would like to come forth, share your thoughts, your encouragement, your concerns, your issues, all of them.
You'll have 3 minutes to speak, and I'll give you 1 minute exit warning.
We pay for our portion too, that we didn't get into this, but we still like to thank everybody. Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you, sir.
My name is Clarence James Franklin Jr. My home address is 4720 Belleville Circle, Apartment 6, South Bend, Indiana, zip code 46619. That's the 6th district. To the South Bend Common Council and to whom else it may concern, I do hereby say that after my application for housing under a federal program was rejected by Prairie Apartment, and after my right to dispute the rejection was denied by the same, I petitioned the Common Council through my district representative, Oliver Davis, to seek federal intervention because of the criminality I encountered in the application process. After some months had gone by without a response, I contacted the Common Council President, Derek Dieter, and made him aware of my letter to Oliver Davis. However, over a year has since passed, and still, to this day and time, there has been no response from the Common Council. It's my belief the reason the Common Council remains reluctant to act in this matter is because of the highly interesting and scandalous content of the 3 pounds of documents that were submitted along with my letter to Oliver Davis. One example of that interesting content is the fact the city of South Bend and 5 judges, 5, are defendants in a lawsuit seeking $200 million in damages. and a Section 1983 civil complaint is filed in the local federal district court, a case which has not yet been settled. And somehow all of this so far has been concealed from the media and the South Bend community. So, on behalf of the South Bend community, I respectfully, very respectfully, demand the South Bend Common Council make a timely response and reply to the petition and make some explanation to the South Bend community. I have already made copies of the letter, list the attachments to Oliver Davis, copies of the rejection letter from Prairie Apartments, and copies of the letter to Derek Dieter, available to members of the audience and to the news media representatives that were present here at this meeting. Thank you. And because of my allotted time to speak has expired, I'll say nothing further on this matter. I would like to give everyone in here a copy of this.
Sir, your time's up.
Thank you.
Would you like to leave a copy with me? And I can make copies.
My name is Samuel Brown. I live at 222 East LaVar Street, City of South Bend. And I represent a group called Citizens United for a Better Government. The other day, we encountered a police officer walking the beat in a high crime area. The gentleman didn't really know me and had a couple friends. They scattered like mice. Not I. I wanted to know what he was doing and what was on his mind. He told me. And he said they had a grant, walking the beat, giving neighbors opinion. And all my buddies and stuff behind my own garages and stuff, because naturally it was police. And when I got back, I started laughing. They want to know how come the mayor of the city of South Bend do not work with the officers, because that's the person that they elected in the city of South Bend to represent them. That's an interesting question. He's back from Afghanistan. You need to ask him. Okay, moving on. The nation is under a great siege right now, all over the nation. And they want to know if something like that happened in South Bend, what's happening in Ferguson, what's happening in Hammond, what's happening in Washington, D.C., do we have the leadership to calm it down? Do we have a police chief that can come in the black community and make us feel like we're not dogs, we're human beings? Everybody there said, man, I'm waiting for cover. Because the teacher and the mayor who just got back from Afghanistan cut loose on us, we will have a lot of dead bodies. And I said, we got to speak out.
1 minute, sir.
I said, we got to speak out and let our voice be heard. They said, you speak out. We're not trusting them. And I said, well, you better start doing something. So we had a young man who didn't have a driver's license. He's a bit small. He's a good person. He walks everywhere, and he walks fast. I mean, the guy is in good shape. But he didn't have a picture ID, driver's license or nothing, because he don't own a car. What we did was we took him to the license branch and got him an ID. And we told him, if a policeman stops you, not to run, not to walk away fast, because you could be in trouble. But it still get back to our leadership at the top of the city and our chief of police. The community where I live at,
Time's up,
we don't have, the community where I live at, we don't have no real trust in those two. So we'll continue this. I know this was short, but this story won't go away. Thank you.
Next. Will there be anybody else afterwards? Okay, thank you, Beyond Hustler.
All right. My name is Rhonda Richards. I live at 1020 Clover Street, South Bend, Indiana. I came today ready to make my statement about complaints I had filed earlier this summer and stuff, but after hearing that your lawyer is going to be looking at new business and looking at some of those things, I just wanted to say I hope some of those complaints that myself and others had filed throughout the summer will be some of those things that will be reviewed, and I look forward to seeing how you deal with that, and I do hope you will stand up and be the leaders that we have elected you to be. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure having my birthday with you all tonight. Thank you, and we are now adjourned.
Was that